Let's do a little bit, you guys, today about animation history, you guys. I'll try to cut it as fast as possible. This is a 2.5 hours lecture. Don't worry, it won't last 2 hours and a half. It'll last just today. All right, you guys. If you want to go into full details of it, you can just click on it. All right, and it's a website that I have somewhere. I don't know where it is, but basically, animation, you guys, is as far as you know, as old as cavemen. All right, shadow. You know, the drawing, you know, are key poses basically, all right, that you've seen in caves, all right, you guys. And after that, a lot of people did shadow puppeteering and so forth, using fire basically, all right, simple fire, because that's all they had. And that's animation. I'm not kidding you. I've seen puppeteering, Japanese puppeteering or French puppeteering with shadowing stuff. It's an animation like a snake eating a rabbit is a famous one of shadowing by Greco, you guys. And I do a lot of stuff like that because Luke knows I do, and Emmett knows I do magic stuff. My wife has a magic store. So we have shadowing. It's part of some of the art. It's a fairly small part, but we have shadowing and puppeteering also. Okay? So basically, but it didn't get until really when they created new tools, basically, to get to what we know right now. At first, all the tools that they created were fairly basic and were seen as like, you remember when you go into like the sound store and they have the little gadgets that show you 3D pictures and stuff like that. Those are just gadgets right now. Like VRML, it's getting better. But in 10, 20 years, you guys, 3D TV, in 10 years at the most, will be everywhere. In like 3 years, everybody will have a 3D TV in their house. All right, you guys, what used to be a gadget will not be a gadget. So at that point, at first, you guys, it started to be a gadget. All right, you guys. So let's look a little bit at it. Well, we talked about that. All right, obviously. The early age, that's what I'm talking about. Around 1800 to 1900. Okay. First of all, you have to remember that animation works on one principle. That someone knows on what principle animation works on. Basically, without that principle, there will be no animation, no movies, nothing. The persistence of vision. All right? Basically, a number of frames, pictures show to you on one after the others at a certain speed will create an animation. Because it creates your brain as a buffer that will buffer around 12 pictures pretty much. Right? It's Darcy. He was a knight. All right? He was a British knight that lived in France. All right, you guys, that created principle. He was a knight probably by first business because of his family, because they make you do something, you know, at first. But then he became a mathematician. He was a part actually of the French Math Academy. All right, very smart guy, by the way. Okay, and then they created. Let's look at the technology of those. You know, the personal vision right here, 1765, Patrick Darcy. All right, you guys, right here, a tenth of a second basically, and it's 12 or more. It's very important, you guys, because right away that gave us a format. Okay, under 12 that doesn't work very well. And as we will see, there's multiple formats in animation that you need to respect depending on what project you're doing. All right? Okay? And that's, you know, and my guys know that because I talk about that all the time. So you have the thaumatrope. Okay? And that's the first one. And that, I'm sure everybody has seen that. There's two versions of it, you guys. There is the version with the rope and your piece of paper around it. You guys, it's going to be a real, for you in the wrong way, then the person on the other side will see the proper way. Okay? And that's, I mean, that's not even a toy. That's a big-time gadget that plays 5 seconds with it. I'm sure that's fun at that time with it, but not very long I would have myself. You can do that with a pen also. Kids do that at school, you guys. Now, after that, you have the Feni. Become a little bit more of a machine, all right? And I go through these stories still because I think it's important because it does explain certain things in animation, in reality, that you guys are still using right now. For example, you can see that cartoon uses a black outline, right? Cartoons, main cartoons, I mean, main technique requires a. It comes because long time ago they had to have black outlines, you guys, and very strong colors because there was no light with that type of tools. All right. Again, at that time, those were rotational tools. All right. So it brings one thing, looping animations, which is the same that we do in video games. All right. Okay. So that's very important. It's very interesting to look at those things, you know, and to understand them so we can apply them. Obviously, colors because no light again. Okay, so that pixel art was like that. All right, pixel art is definitely very contrasty art, also similar because it's limited in the amount of colors, you guys. Okay, and then you have, but still, it's not, you know, you can't really have a story out of that. You would have to have what, a couple hundreds of those next to you and rotate them and move and stuff like that. That would be pretty insane. So that's still a gadget. It's not a professional tool yet. All right. Then we go to the Zoetrope, you guys. And that's becoming a little bit better. All right. The Zoetrope is a little bit better because now we can separate the machine from the animation. Because they will put some special animation inside it and they keep the machine every time you just put the thing in. So we can add, it's still a loop. All right. Animations still have to loop because it keeps going. All right. So you have no other choices. And that's why it's still. And then after that, we have the Praxinoscope. And that's becoming much better. It's very similar to the Zoetrope. The main difference is the addition of the mirrors. Okay? Because it brings light. Okay? A lot more light, you guys, to the animation itself. Okay? So we can have more variation of colors basically now, okay? So more refined artwork, okay, in animation. But it's still not a real machine, frankly, professional, as we know right now. Basically, when we get to the cinematograph, okay? The cinematograph was created and invented in 1895 by two French brothers called les Frères Lumière. It's exactly that, and that's what they use for the machine, light. So that, I mean, that's pretty interesting, I have to say. All right. So they created that, and they were able to use the machine because of another creation from an American gentleman. And I'm coming back to the cinematograph really quick. Hold on. That's called a film strip. Okay, George Eastman. We all know. All right? Not as advanced as what we have now, obviously. Okay? But a similar situation that let us do now strips of films. Now, so rolls. So now it's not a looping animation you can do. It's a, you know, a full story you can develop now. That's a totally different story now. Okay? Sorry for the wording. It's a totally different setup. Okay? Now you have a real possibility to create a story, a movie. And now you have a real machine that has real light, okay, powerful enough to be professional. So now we can put that machine in another room. We get to have a movie theater. And the first movie theater was called the Grand Café, the Big Coffee, basically. And it was in a bar called the Big Coffee, and it was called the Indian Saloon. All right, you guys. Which, by the way, was taken back after bought back by a very French, very known French magician after that. That was also, you guys, that is fairly famous. Okay, now, so we got most of the element now to get our animation going. All right? So you guys, there's a lot of animation styles. Okay? There is, I mean, you can create more. I mean, especially with the tools we have now, there's a lot of style you can do. Okay? The main ones would be 2D cartoons, all right? And that's what I base my class off, 2D cartoons, because if you can, it's the basis of every animation in reality. Okay? I'm not going to make you guys do intellectual animations. There was an exhibit at the Scottsdale Museum on intellectual animation. All right, you guys, which I brought my students there. That's where I did my lecture. My students didn't even understand the animation, because it's in quite itself in thought process, in philosophical aspect, intellectual stuff. All right, and that's what we do here. We do cartoon stuff here. All right, all my stuff are based on 2D cartoon principles that are basically, we'll look at them later on, are basically the 12 principles of animation from Walt Disney production. Okay? And basically, if you have to buy a book for animation and keep a book for animation, the only one you should buy is The Illusion of Life. All right, you guys? It is a book based on Walt Disney techniques, only on Walt Disney, and it shows everything you need. And basically, the last time I went to a THQ for an open house, the animator that is everything over there, we asked him, what do you need? It's like, only one thing, to know the 12, that principle, the 12 principles of animation from The Illusion of Life, from that Walt Disney book, okay? That's the most important. So even the game people do that. So you have also, obviously, 3D animation, stop motion, you guys, and we can do stop motion with a digital camera. It's very easy to do now. Stop motion is really cool. Bob Deaver is specialized in stop motion. That's his specialty. That's why he likes the best in animation. It's pretty hard. It's a straight-ahead animation system, and we'll get to that real soon. So it's a little harder. You got to know what the heck you're doing, or you can't really do it. But it's pretty cool. Classic, that's what I call classic, where the intellectual thing. Digital, obviously, what we do now. All right, all digital stuff, you guys. And video game animation, which is very different. In that class, in our class right here, I will talk about video game animation and movie animation, cartoon animation, basically. Those are two I definitely talk about all the time, and I contrast all the time. Who is video game here? Who is cartoon animation? The rest now? Who are the others? What you guys are? What do you want to do?
Digital animation, like Pixar?
Yeah, so cartoon animation. Okay. Yeah, that's why I call cartoon animation. All right. Okay, that's fine. Okay, so I'd like you guys to think for your final animation at something that has to do with your business, obviously, right? So if you are into doing, yeah, exactly, yeah, look, he's in my project. I'll show you guys my project after that. He knows what he's doing, let me tell you that. But that's good, because in reality, it's not cheating in my class to do that. I'm not asking, it's not cheating at all. What I'm asking is you guys to become good in animation, all right? Not to do the animation I tell you to do, all right? But, so you need to do your stuff, So he has to work with me, that we're all doing we have a team. Well, he should be doing that, in animation. That's perfect for me because that's what he wants to do in life. So if you're a video game, I'd rather you guys do video game type of animation. A full animation, but using video game principles. All right, instead of a movie principles, cartoon principles, all right, which is a little slightly different on things, so a lot more seamless looping animation that you have in others, all right, basically. I'd like you to do that if you have a project that you're working on for movies, basically. All right, they are just short movies of a minute or 30 seconds, basically, all right? And that works with me, too. So think about that, because you need to get me a story for next class. Actually, no, we're going to meet for next week. I'm going to write down the timing on it, too. Let's see, do I have that right now? And I'll look at that after. So you need to write me a story that is going to be 30 seconds to a minute long, basically, all right? And basically go from the pre-prod to the final of it. And so you better have some mesh, or you better get going modeling. That's all I have to say. Because I'm not going to let you guys do the modeling all the way to like a month or two, or a month and a half before the end of the class. Okay? Your modeling needs to be done in 2 or 3 weeks. All right? So that's why Luke is, that's perfect for him. He already has a project with all the model and stuff like that. He's going to just step in and do some animation. He's going to tweak it a little bit, obviously.
Second, third semester now?
Yeah, exactly, and he's going to finish it up. But at the end, he will have a real video game. When he'll go to a job for a video game, the guy say, hey, as my resume, you get my resume, and the guy says, oh, you want a job in a video game? You say, what do you know about video game? Well, that's why I know video games, so I did that video game right there, I did that in that video game. I took care of all those animations. Luke says, like, yeah, okay, you're a player. You know games, then they'll hire you. Someone has never have any art in a video game will not get hired. It's very hard, unless you get an internship. That's why, if you don't have anything on your portfolio, get an internship as fast as you can. Work for free. But if not, I would advise you to find. So if you have one, make sure you adapt your project you're doing with that class project. All right? So let's keep going. Let's see. All right, persistence of vision. How does it work, basically? All right, let's look at the pipeline of what you're going to have to do pretty much through the class to get to it. Was one thing I don't do animatics. You guys are not going to have time to do animatics. Animatics is for people that have a fairly large team and AAA type of titles, kind of things. All right, because it's an animation by itself. Animatic is a pre-animation. It's a previs, basically. So it's animating already. You guys don't have time in my class to do a previs and then to do the actual thing. All right, it's to weed out angles. You know, see the world how it works, to see the timing of things, to see the actual dynamic of elements and stuff. All right? So all the large production do killer stuff. Like I'll show you guys when we get to that point, the one from The Incredibles. And the actual animatics for The Incredibles could be put on Cartoon Network easily. Right now, right there, without changing anything. And kids would be like, wow, it's a really good cartoon. Because it looks freaking incredible. Right? It's all 2D though. But it looks like a cartoon finished product. We're not going to do that. But you guys will get into the story writing. That's very important. If you could find some free sound on the internet, I would like that. All right, you guys, if you can actually, if you have a little bit of lip sync, if you have a character, you can have one character on that set. Not more than one character.
Does it have to be a human, or could it be like an alien?
Whatever you want in character. It doesn't have to. You don't have to have a character. It could be just a simple advertisement animation. That's totally possible for me too. All right, there's people that wants to go into advertising or visual effects. Anybody wants to do visual effects here? There you go. Thank you. That was my first stuff that I wanted to do. I did for years, but I never really made it to multi-million AAA. I stayed stuck in the freaking independent productions. And there's nothing worse when you do visual effects to get stuck in independent production, because visual effects requires a lot of money, and obviously independent production don't have any money. So you always work, you know, trying to figure out stuff that you can't do, basically. But anyway, I'll be totally glad to help you do some visual effects stuff, you know what I'm saying, or to do like an advertisement. I mean, you can go film, get like that, and then get do a CGI car and get it to do a 360 or something like that. There's a guy that, I mean, there's a lot of things that are really cool now on YouTube where people do use cars. See, and they have like some type of gymkhana, all right, pretty crazy gymkhana. You can do something like that. You know what I'm saying? You can go film outside and get a car and get it to do all those things and put some smoke and stuff and try to fake it as much as you can. That's very interesting. It's very fun. All right. It's totally animation. You have to really look at what you're doing and stuff. The other cartooning is simplifies a lot. Exaggerate things. All right. So story writing, you guys. Soundtrack would be cool. Art file. That is very important for me. The art file, you guys, because this is where you are. I know you guys are by yourself. I know you are everything in that animation for this class. You're going to be the director, the modeler. I mean, you are everything in that animation. But that's going to be probably the only time in your life where you'll be everything in animation. All right? Most of the time, you guys, you will be working in a team. Okay? And when you work in a team, you know, you need to pass information. You need to convey information from one pipeline to the others. I don't know why it doesn't want to go there. And you know, maybe I have nothing on it. And basically, the art file is there to get the information needed to do your animation. And that requires basically all the drawing first for your characters. And your character needs to be all okay, very important. You need to give me detailed information and bio on the character and so forth, and we'll get to that. All right, you guys, at that moment. But I want a very complete art file, you guys. Because it does a job of keeping a team together emotionally on target. And when you're by yourself, it keeps you sane. You don't turn nuts because it's a lot of work, and then you can forget what you're doing, you know. And second of all, what's the most important for me is that when you're alone, the main reason why I ask you guys to do a very big art file, very strong art file, you guys, very detailed art file, is because 3D is extremely technical. All right? As we know, Maya, Max are extremely technical tools. All right? That will stop your artistic developments and thought process. It will make you technicians and not artists. All right? So what you want to do is separate those work. All right? You're working on the art part, you're working on producing that art part after. But you have it right there. You always refer to the art. You don't need to recreate that art at that moment. You just need to use the tool that I showed you, that I taught you, to actually get the results you have done before artistically. Catch my drift, you guys? It's very, very important. All right? Because those tools are pretty hard. Even me, I've been doing Max since the DOS version, all right, which is the first version they ever created, and Maya since Maya 1. Actually, I still own Maya 4.5. I got a license. I got my license back.
Again?
Yeah, so we got it from a friend of mine. I contacted him and he resold it to me. Something higher, but but legally we have a license for Max, Maya, and Photoshop, which is a good thing. All right, when you use them. I mean, you guys, when you use a software, let's put it on the side like that. When you use a software professionally, you need to buy it. I'm sorry, you guys, it's very important. Those people are making money and they're making a living out of it. It's important that you make money out of it. Making any money out of it, so you're not hurting them. Actually, you're helping them. As a student, by learning their software, when you're going to go in the professional world, you guys, you're going to use their software, then you're going to buy it. All right? So they're making money. It's like marketing. Okay? But when you're a pro and you make money out of it, it's fair that the money wrinkled down to those guys. Get some of the money too, all right? So buy the licensing, please. Okay, after that, we have storage. Okay, it will basically, tell you what the emotion, the angle, the motion of the camera, the moods of all the actual. I'll bring samples and so forth. All right. The animatics basically is a simple animation that is a previs of what your final work was going to be. Usually, only large teams. Basically, unlike 10 people, you don't have time to do that. Okay, and then we get to animation blocking, you guys, which is basically you're going to go to keep the same timing. There will be noise in, noise out in your animation. All right, it'll be very boring, but that will give the positioning of the main poses of your animation. All right, and then after that, what we do, we actually bring into a refinement. Okay, we are playing with the interpolation between motions. All right, so ease in, ease out. As we know, a car at the traffic light, the red light, does not start or stop straight up to 100 miles an hour. All right, it is in and is out of it, obviously, and that's what we want to create using the curve editor. We'll adjust those things. Okay, and I'll show you to do that multiple ways to do that. Okay, and that's the refining. That's what you get to the end, and then the coloring. That's for 2D mainly. In 3D, you guys color grading at the end. All right, you just color grade everything. It's very important. In reality, you render your animation.